On this episode of Watch Stuff with Us, we are previewing Dune 3 already. Yeah, we got something. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Watch Stuff with Us. I'm JD, and tonight we are going to be previewing Dune 3. So please, 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 right now, before we get started, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment so that I know that you're watching, A, and B, just to support the channel. We really appreciate it when you guys do that. So we're going to get this started right now. Dune 3 preview already. Looks like we got something. All right, like I said, it is a preview of Dune 3. Basically what to expect in the next movie. Like I said, it hasn't happened. There aren't a lot of details out about it, but someone has taken the time to make a preview on their own. So I am going to react to that preview, and I ask you to do the same. If you like it, drop a comment. If you don't, drop a comment. Let me know what you think.
Fear is the mind killer.
My Lord Duke.
Where the fear is gone, only I will remain.
Don't you think that Dune 3, Villeneuve's final entry, is perfect? Plus, Chani won't be Paul's concubine in Dune 3. Dune 2's ending sees Chani leaving Paul behind after he accepts his role as Messiah. There's so much more to discuss about Dune 3, like how Princess Irulan's plot will change without Chani. In Dune Messiah,
Okay, first off, I don't like these like AI videos like this, but hopefully the content is decent. So I'm gonna let that slide. But yeah, I'm not digging the whole AI voice to speech stuff, but hopefully the content's decent.
Irulan thwarts Chani's attempts to become pregnant, among other intriguing plot points. So let's dive into what we know about Dune 3 so you don't need to hustle anymore. Let's get into it, shall we? Dune Part 3, currently aiming for a 2026 release, seems to be the perfect endpoint for director Denis Villeneuve's take on the Dune saga. When Villeneuve first announced he would adapt Frank Herbert's iconic...
Now, I do know that there are not just 3 entries. Like there's tons and tons and tons of more source material. So just because they're going to do 3 movies, I don't think that that's going to be the end of it. As long as this third one is successful, just like the first 2 have been, and I don't see why it wouldn't be.
Novel, fans were buzzing with excitement. The success of the first film and the rave reviews for the 2024 follow-up Dune Part 2 have only amplified the anticipation for a third installment. However, this raises the question of when and how the film series should wrap up to provide a satisfying conclusion. The Dune series spans over 20 novels, though Herbert himself penned the first 6, starting with Dune in 1965.
Yeah,
This
it's a deep,
expansive universe makes
long
it challenging to
series of
capture the
movie,
entire lore in a few
and
films.
books for the
Nevertheless,
source material.
Villeneuve has a clear vision. He used Dune Part 2 to set the stage for Dune 3, which is expected to adapt Dune Messiah. Given the themes and storyline of Messiah, it serves as an ideal conclusion to the story. Legendary has already confirmed that work on the Part 3 script is underway, and it's only a matter of time before Warner Brothers officially greenlights the project. Villeneuve is keen to bring his trilogy to a satisfying close.
A satisfying close. A lot of series do not nail the ending. There's a lot of correlation made between Game of Thrones and Dune, and Game of Thrones definitely did not nail the landing. It's one of the things that I'm still mad at that series about. I know and understand that George R.R. Martin never finished the series of books, so the people on the TV show kind of had to wing it. But I'm really hoping that Dune is able to stick the landing. It can be difficult though to sort of thread that needle where you give people a satisfying ending without feeling like you're just catering to people and giving them exactly what they want. Like people are down for the ride and want to be along for the journey, but if you make it a little bit too easy, it comes off as cheesy. Or if you do things that don't necessarily make sense with the rest of the movie, or with the rest of the previous movies, then people will definitely be turned off. That's kind of what happened with Game of Thrones, and I really do not want to see that happen with this series because the first two movies have been so good.
And with the overwhelmingly positive reception of Dune Part 2, it seems likely that WB will soon give the go ahead. With the script development progressing, the final chapter of Villeneuve's Dune vision is on the horizon, poised to bring Paul Atreides' journey to a fitting end. That said, let's delve into how Dune 3 will diverge from the book after Villeneuve's Part 2 adaptations. While Dune Messiah takes place 12 years after the initial Dune novel, many of the cast members from the first two films are expected to return for Part 3. Timothée Chalamet will reprise his role as Paul Atreides to conclude his compelling.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to have any of the major actors not be a part of this movie. Like that would be one of the worst things that could possibly happen if you have Zendaya or Paul's the actor who plays Paul. Not be a part of the movie. Like I feel like that's a given once you get so far into these big series that if you somehow mess up and outside of death, if there's like some kind of contract negotiation that goes wrong or some kind of personal disagreement and you don't have the show or the actors who are a major part of the show or movie like Timothy Chalamet is, and then all of a sudden he's just not in it and you replace his character, like people are gonna be thrown and people will probably riot. So I really hope that they don't go that route and they just go ahead and do what they have to do to get those actors signed. And I can't imagine that they didn't sign a 3-film agreement to begin with. Most of the time actors don't just do one movie if they are signed as a lead character. So I can't imagine that they would sign him or they hadn't signed him for 3 movies to begin with. Same with Zendaya.
Timothée Chalamet will reprise his role as Paul Atreides to conclude his compelling character arc, alongside Zendaya as his Freeman love, Chani. Florence Pugh's Princess Irulan will also be crucial, as her emotional journey in the third book significantly impacts the narrative. Anya Taylor-Joy's surprise appearance as Aaliyah in Dune Part 2.
Yeah, that threw me off, being the unborn sister. And I guess they did just say that this movie is supposed to take place 12 years after the second movie. So I guess they will be able to age up the child a little bit, but yeah, it kind of threw me that the unborn sister was already, plotting and helping her brother out in his battle against the Harkonnen.
Used her as a vision from the future, despite Aaliyah being a mere infant in the original story's timeline. This portrayal poses challenges for Dune 3, where Aaliyah plays a pivotal role as a tween with the consciousness of an adult. It remains uncertain if Taylor-Joy will continue in this role, given the complexities involved.
Again, makes no sense for her to have signed up for that small of a role initially and then not be signed for the subsequent movies. So I'm already not digging this analysis as far as the actors and stuff goes, because we know that if they were to initially sign on for a movie, there's no way that she would just be like, yeah, I'm just going to play this one character and then you guys can recast it. No, that makes no sense.
Dune Part continue exploring themes of blind faith, which are central to the Dune saga. By this point in Dune Messiah, Paul Atreides has ascended from Messiah-like figure to Emperor of the known universe. His rule sparks religious fervor among his followers, particularly the Fremen, who advocate for a war that threatens billions of lives.
Yeah, I really find it interesting that the Fremen are 100% behind him. And I mean, he is the Messiah. He is their almost like Jesus figure. And they are 100% behind him and will do whatever they need to do to support him. I'm sure his favor is not that high amongst the rest of the known galaxy, I guess. But I find it interesting that he, as this series is going to move forward, he is able to somehow gain power throughout the entire galaxy, I guess. Like it's weird to think that, like, we think of power in a smaller scale here on on our planet, but or even with our with our country or whatever country that you live in. people have power in their region or their country, but that power doesn't necessarily extend to other countries. But imagine being so powerful that your power extends across planets and across galaxies and into the entire known universe. Like that is, I mean, how can that feel? Like what is that? And how does that not corrupt Paul? And I wonder if that's going to be one of the things that ends up happening in that third movie.
Paul must navigate his newfound power using his ancestral memories and visions to forestall humanity's destruction while evading assassination attempts from resentful royal houses. Princess Irulan, Paul's consort, plays a crucial role in maintaining his authority, yet she opposes him, particularly in matters concerning Chani's potential to bear Paul's heir. This conflict underscores the deeper tensions within Paul's reign and the fragile alliances that sustain it. One critical element Dune 3 must introduce is the Spacing Guild. Unlike the books, where the Guild plays a pivotal role in political and economic structures, Villeneuve opted to omit their detailed introduction in his cinematic adaptation. The Spacing Guild, also known as the Guild of Navigators, controls interstellar travel and banking and plays a crucial role in thwarting the plans of the
And as far as I know, they've all been imbued with some sorts of power that they use um, to basically be computers or have computers in their mind. Like they are the ones who navigate the entire universe. Basically, if Google Maps was a person, that's what these people are. So imagine how important that is to have that type of knowledge when you are a galaxy faring people and not just condensed to your state or just condensed to your country or even to just your planet. And you need to be able to know how to navigate to get to one space to another because the space is so vast. To have people like this, I can imagine that they would be extremely powerful and extremely important to the success or demise of your group, colony, planet, whatever it may be. And I'm pretty sure that they use spice in order to gain this knowledge, but it also like disfigures them a ton. If I remember that correctly from some of the other videos that I watched.
the Bene Gesserit and Paul's ascension to power. In Dune Messiah, the Guild aligns with other factions to challenge Paul's rule, particularly through characters like Guild Navigator Edric, who possesses abilities that shield him from Paul's visions. While Dune 3 can rectify this omission by properly introducing the Spacing Guild, it will not have the same extensive background and influence as depicted in Herbert's novels.
I do find it interesting that there is someone or some people who can sort of block Paul's visions. Um, I know that he now, I would assume, is trusting his visions. I know initially he wasn't. And at least looking in the way that we have in the first movie, he did not his that vision that he had at the very end of the movie has not come true as of yet. Maybe it will at some point in the future, but at this point it hasn't. And I'm siding more so on the side that it isn't going to come true. So that made that vision and those visions that he had initially not be accurate. And if they aren't accurate later on in the films, he was able to I forgot the name of the blue liquid, but he drank the blue liquid, and that made his visions and his knowledge become more powerful. So those visions began to be more accurate. That is a huge almost an unspeakable power, that if you can foresee the future and see different options and different outcomes for your actions, that would almost make you invincible, because you would automatically know that, like, hey, if I make this move and this move and this move, this is what's going to happen. And I understand why people would follow behind him and treat him like a Jesus figure if he has those sorts of powers. So I get that, but just imagine one person being that powerful. Hopefully he is able to control that and use that power for good as opposed to using it for bad. I would really dig if at a certain point, and I know if it's just three movies, this isn't going to happen. But if you were going to extend this into like 4 or 5 movies, I would love to see him take a turn towards the negative, towards the evil, use some of the evil side of his power and see how that can begin to corrupt him. And then eventually maybe he's able to pull himself out of that and be the savior that his people need. That's just a little bit of theory crafting on my behalf. Some stuff that I'm wishing that I'll see. I don't know if we will or not, though.
Nonetheless, integrating the Guild into the narrative will enrich the cinematic universe and expand on the intricate political dynamics established in the preceding films. As we mentioned earlier, Chani won't continue as Paul's concubine in Dune 3, diverging significantly from the original story where she stands by Paul despite his transformation into the Fremen Messiah. In Villeneuve's adaptation, Dune Part 2 concludes with Chani leaving Paul because she cannot accept his choice to drink the water of life and embrace his prophesied role.
That's what it's called, the water of life. I should have known that. And I find it interesting that they are sowing that discord between the both of them when that isn't an aspect of the books. So I wonder why they would do that. I would assume that eventually they're going to get back together and get over their differences, but it's interesting that they would kind of break them up. I guess it's more interesting to have them break up and eventually get back together somehow, some way, than for them to just, for her to always have been in his corner the entire way through. But I always find it crazy when directors and writers turn away from the source material of a book or whatever it is and decide to do their own thing. That can kind of be a good thing in some cases, and it can definitely be a bad thing in some other cases.
This departure contrasts with Herbert's narrative, where Chani supports Paul even as he ascends to the Emperor's throne. In the books, Paul marries Princess Irulan for political reasons while maintaining his relationship with Chani as his concubine, with hopes of conceiving children together. Given this departure, Princess Irulan's plot in Dune 3 will inevitably change as well. In Dune Messiah, Irulan remains aligned with the Bene Gesserit, collaborating with Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam to thwart Chani's attempts to conceive children with Paul. Irulan secretly administers contraceptives to Chani to prevent her from bearing Paul's heirs, driven by her commitment to the Bene Gesserit's breeding program and her desire to secure her position within Paul's empire.
Now that's interesting that they I wonder, I would almost 100% count that they're going to actually run with that plot line in the movie, because that's interesting, that's drama, and that's one thing that this series has done a pretty decent job at thus far, is creating the sort of like love drama, sort of side story to everything else that's going on.
Despite Paul's awareness of Irulan's actions, his prescient visions hint at Chani's tragic fate in childbirth. Moving forward, it remains unclear how Villeneuve and his team will navigate the crucial dynamics between Paul and Chani in Dune 3. With Chani,
So in the book she dies? Interesting.
dynamics between Paul and Chani in Dune 3. With Chani's departure and Irulan's altered role, the adaptation is poised to explore new dimensions of intrigue and power dynamics within the Dune universe. While Irulan will continue as to be key player aligned with the Bene Gesserit, her methods and motivations may shift in Villeneuve's interpretation. The inclusion of Lady Margot Fenring's subplot in Dune Part 2, where she manipulates Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, suggests that the Bene Gesserit's machinations for their bloodline could take unexpected turns in this cinematic universe.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit have been like really pulling the strings behind the scenes. They were the ones who crafted the whole Messiah story for Paul, and basically said that he was the chosen one from the beginning, or he's revealed himself as a chosen one, but they've been sort of predicting and saying that he was going to come for thousands of years. And I'm pretty sure that that is one of the main points of the Dune Prophecy series, which we are also covering and will be speaking on every Sunday night. So if you happen to be watching this preview, don't forget to check out my commentary on Dune Prophecy every Sunday night, starting at 7 p.m. Central Time, all the way through the episode.
In addition to altering Paul and Chani's relationship dynamics, Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 strategically omits the birth of their first son, Leto II, to streamline the narrative and avoid unnecessary complexities. While this decision ensures a focused storyline, It also opens up possibilities for Dune 3 to handle Chani's fate differently. Traditionally, in Dune Messiah, Chani's attempts to counter Irulan's interference with a Fremen fertility regimen are unsuccessful, leading to her weakened state during pregnancy and eventual death in childbirth. This tragedy leaves Paul with twins, Leto and Ganima, who inherit his ancestral memories. However, Dune 3 may diverge from this path, potentially allowing Chani to survive and give birth to Paul's children under different circumstances. Moreover, Dune 2 cleverly introduces Aaliyah Atreides, Paul's younger sister, who is born with full Reverend Mother abilities through glimpses in Paul's visions. This approach sets the stage for Aaliyah's pivotal role in the future of the franchise. Yet the canonical 12-year gap between Dune and Dune Messiah may not be strictly adhered to in Dune 3, which could affect the ages of characters like Aaliyah and Paul. Furthermore,
Yeah, if she was supposed to be 12 in the books, I could easily imagine them, like really what difference is it going to make if they age her up to like 17 or something like that? Because with her look and her youthful look, she could easily play a teenager at that age. So I really think that they're going to end up going that route as opposed to having her play a preteen, which would definitely be pushing it.
adaptation already shifts certain plot points, such as Paul's decision to kill Baron Harkonnen instead of Aaliyah in Dune 2, which diverges from the original novel. This change may influence Aaliyah's character arc moving forward, especially considering her significant role as regent for Paul's children in Dune 3. Navigating these narrative choices will be crucial for Villeneuve as he continues to shape his vision of Dune's expansive universe. Balancing character arcs, thematic consistency, and audience expectations will be key as Dune 3 moves closer to production and eventual release. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching. What do you think?
All right, and I guess that is the end of that video. Um Yeah. So, what to expect in Dune Part 3? I think that preview is a good primer for it. Sort of a lot of suggestions on what could happen as opposed to more of the concrete details of stuff that has leaked out. We are supposed to get the movie in 2026, it seems. And I would think that they have either started filming or will be starting filming very soon. And once that happens, of course, we're going to get a bunch of leaks and different information coming out. So I'm interested to see if some of the stuff and the predictions that they have made and the discussion of the book are actually going to take place in the movie and what we get to know about this series before it actually comes out. So if you have theories on what you think is going to happen, drop them in the comments below. Also, while you're here, and if you love this Dune content that I'm dropping, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and be sure to join us each and every Sunday for Dune Prophecy, like we are tonight. 7 p.m. Central Time is when I start the stream. 8 p.m. Central Time is when the show starts, and I will be doing a watch along watch party for it. So do not be a stranger. Thanks for dropping by. Peace.